I'll talk a little bit about that. But prior to presenting the read aloud, it's highly recommended that teachers become very familiar with it, especially so if they have to focus on unfamiliar pronunciation or deciding where to pause for emphasis, or how to smoothly, seamlessly integrate guided listening support points that we have provided for you in the margins. When I planned this lesson, for example, I read it about 5 times. First, I did a cold reading without looking at any images or guided listening supports. In the second reading, I looked at my matching images. In my third reading, I looked at the guided listening supports in the margins and the read-alouds, and I highlighted the numbers within the text. And then in the fourth and the fifth reads were for presentation and to gain familiarity. Now, guided listening supports are located in the margins of the script of the read-aloud, and they're provided for every single read-aloud, whether you have a flip book, this is called the flip book, and the images for the read-aloud are inside of it. So there is no text here because this is purely an oral, or they're listening, they're developing their listening skills. So the teacher actually has the text. And within the text are little numbers, and they match to little guided listening supports in the margin. And the images, the margins will tell me when to flip to the next image. The little image is also in the margin. Paying attention to these notes is important, and it's important to do them when they are indicated in the lesson. I usually cover things in the margin notes, but I don't limit myself to these questions per se. Sometimes I feel the question the lesson wants me to ask requires some initial orienting questions, or requires me to ask a few additional questions beforehand to really get the kids into it. I anticipate that the students may wish to spend some extra time on parts that are particular interest to them, and their wonderings may beget other questions, but I try to stay within the time limits because I want to get through the read aloud, because it's a read aloud every day. We can always revisit some parts and go back to the text when we're doing our discussion time, or we can revisit the story when we have a pausing point, which is once or twice during the whole unit where we can stop and reinforce or revisit or extend our lessons. Another word about the delivery of a read aloud, with any read aloud. Read with expression. Let your voice reflect the tone of the story or the personalities of the characters. Don't read too fast. Vary your pace so that you can pause for emphasis. Allow time for children to think about what's happening or what might come next. There are 3 ways to display this read aloud. You can either do a flip book, you can do a media disc, which is what we are going to do, or in some read alouds, there will be an accompanying trade book, such as Charlotte's Web. When 2nd grade does Charlotte's Web, you're actually working from a large print trade book of Charlotte's Web. So let's go through the read aloud. We've done our introducing, and now we will do our presenting.